Hello. Uh, been having so many dreams lately. I figure I just go ahead and start doing a log of them. You know, it says in the Bible that if you ask and pray, you shall receive. One of the things that I had fasted and prayed about January 1st was dreams and visions of my future, of the future, um, angelic visitations, all the good supernatural stuff. Just a closer walk with God. So I'm going to tell you this dream I had. This was 2 nights ago. I believe today's date is 2/12/2025. Um, I don't know if this dream was from the Lord, but the feelings I had all day from it and the scripture verses that I was given during the dream makes me believe that it may have been from the Lord. This dream is not a very good dream. It's it's very sobering is the best way that I can describe it. So let me just start. Um, the planet was basically unlivable. The whole planet was basically a desert. Nothing green would grow on it. I don't know if it was from a famine or if it was from an atomic war, but the whole human race was actually living in structures under the ocean. And to get what we needed, resources, etc., we would have to do underground mining. And it was deep mining, it was dangerous work. There was no money system. The only way that you could feed yourself was you took a 3-year contract on different types of projects and you got fed that day or you got paid that day in food. And one of the easier contracts that I was currently working in was I got basically a glass of water and a loaf of bread. That was my daily pay. And all the humans, we all looked dirty. It almost looked like kind of like a sci-fi movie. We really couldn't even afford to clean ourselves or bathe ourselves. And we lived in these big structures, and they were all rusted and everything because of the ocean had done damage to them, and etc. But every once in a while, we'd have recruiters come in that would offer us different jobs. Um, and a recruiter came in and says, "Hey, we have a few openings in this different area of construction or work, but it's a 3-year contract, but the survivability rate is only 50%. 50% of you that take this contract will die. And but the pay was a little better. In other words, you got a little bit more food. And there was actually people fighting over these positions. They were actually fighting for the job and physical fights breaking out. Where I was just sitting in the back, just kind of calmly relaxing. And I had a friend there. My closest friend, he was actually African American. He's a black man. And we just sat back and watched all this take place. And we just, continued with our current job that we had. And then another recruiter came in, and this recruiter said, "We have a few job openings, but the survival rate is only 1/3. Two thirds of you will die if you take this job because it is one of the most dangerous jobs." And what it was cave recovery and firefighting. It was collapsed tunnels. You were a rescue team that went into these mining areas that we were mining to get our resources, and when the caves would collapse, you were to go in there and try to rescue people. And it was one of the most dangerous jobs. But I immediately threw up my hand and said, "I'll take it," because deep down inside, I wanted to feed my eldest daughter. And I could remember her in the dream. Her name's Caitlin. She was in her late 20s. And I says, "I'll take the job because I knew I would be able to eat better and I knew I would be able to feed her too." And my friend looked at me and he says, "Mike, you're a dead man walking. Don't do it. Don't take this job." And I just basically ignored him. I says, "Listen, I need to do this. Need to do this for my family. I just want to do this." So the next thing I know, I'm on like this big underwater transport. It was big and bulky. It wasn't like a submarine. It was like big and square, but it was able to travel underwater. and they were taking us deeper and deeper into the ocean to this training facility. And the next thing I know, all of a sudden, another ship crashed into ours, and they were saying, "Hey, it's pirates! It's pirates! They're here to take what food we have on our ship." And then I woke up. That was the end of the dream. But during the dream, I kept hearing the verse of how it talks about in Revelations that do not hurt the wine and the oil, but you'll work all day for a piece of bread. Well, that's what was I kept hearing that scripture verse going through my mind during the dream. So I woke up that day and it just seemed like I couldn't stop thinking about that dream. And it was like I was just crying out for mercy. God, I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to live through the tribulation. Is it really going to be that bad where people are working themselves all day long just to be able to eat and that's it? And I just it was very sobering. I had a very sobering mood all day long. I'm usually a very happy person, but all day it just seemed like it was just such a huge wake up call. And even now when I think about it, it was almost like a sci-fi movie. It was just wild. It was really wild. But that's it. That's the end of the dream. I and what I take away from it is I hope I live the kind of life that I don't have to live through the tribulation. Also, another thing I got was that the 3 year contracts. Why were they all 3 year contracts? Because if you read the Bible, the tribulation is 7 years long, and the Antichrist reveals himself halfway through the tribulation at 3.5 years. So I believe that that's when famine hits so bad on the earth that the earth really only had, or the tribulation only had 3 more years left. And I think that's why all the recruiters coming in were only offering 3 year contracts, because we all knew what the Bible had said. We all knew what was going to happen. We all knew how long we had left on the planet. But yeah, the entire human race was now living under the oceans because above because above ground or above the water, it was unlivable. If you went up there without any kind of equipment, you'd die. I don't know if it was from plutonium exposure, atomic exposure, or if it was just a massive drought, but there was nothing living on the surface. There was no animals, nothing green. It was like the Sahara Desert, but everywhere. But that's what I took away from the dream was the unusual thing about the 3 year contract, and then of course that scripture verse of sorry about the tape of working all day these very dangerous jobs just so you could eat. There was no money system. You were just working just to be able to survive. That's it. That's the dream.